Welcome to A Taste of AZ podcast. Before we get into today's episode, we want to announce that A Taste of AZ magazine will be switching to a paid subscription starting on January 1st, 2024. Until then, you can visit us at atasteofaz.com/subscribe and name your price for the entire 2024 magazine year. You'll get 4 issues for whatever price you decide, and they will each arrive at the beginning of the quarter. With that said, don't forget to subscribe to our email newsletter, and let's jump into today's episode.
Hello, A Taste of AZ podcast listeners. We are here at Ghost Ranch in southern Tempe, right?
Yep, correct.
And I am with Chef. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm David. I'm a chef at Ghost Ranch in Tempe.
And what exactly is Ghost Ranch?
Ghost Ranch is a take on modern Southwestern cuisine. It's a really family-oriented place and where we source locally and try to showcase what we do here in Arizona.
And so you say Southwest cuisine. Is that is it Mexican cuisine focused, or does it really kind of cover everything?
It really does have some obviously Mexican flavors, since we're in Arizona, but we have a little bit of everything. New Mexican, even some Texan flair too. So it covers a vast.
And so before we started the podcast, we were talking a little bit about your background. Where are you from?
So I was born in Colombia, raised in North Miami Beach, and kind of lived all around the States.
And so when did you leave Colombia?
I was 13 years old.
Okay, so not super young. I figure you still have some memories.
Yeah.
What was early life like for you in Colombia?
It was good, man. Colombia is a beautiful place, man. Yeah. Had a good life.
Because I don't know if there are misconceptions or what exactly, because I've never been to Colombia, but people make it seem like it's a very dangerous place. That wasn't your experience?
Yes, some. Yeah, obviously it's a country that is in conflict, so obviously there's some places where there's gonna be some bad spots to be, but there's always the good side of great people, beautiful cuisine, and so there's a little bit of everything. You can find yourself in very bad situations, or always a safe place. It depends on where you go to. You know what I mean?
Well, and my intention isn't to make that the focus, but more so the opposite, actually, because I've talked with on the podcast way back when a woman from Venezuela, and similar kind of thing where on the news they make it seem like you step out on the street and you're getting kidnapped and taken away, but her memory was very fond and much more about the culture and the food and the family and kind of living like that. Is it the same for you?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously conflict too there, and it's gotten pretty bad. And there's also I'm sure there's good stuff over there, but also, I mean,
and things have, I think, probably gotten worse in recent years.
It has gone pretty bad. There's a lot of migration from Venezuela into Colombia, which is creating a little bit of chaos. But
sure,
yeah, it's a tough situation there.
You went from Colombia to Miami when you said you were 13. What is that like?
It was great. It's a party city, so it's fun, beaches, beautiful people, culture. It's a melting pot of cultures from all over South America, Europe. So it was great in that sense. I mean, it's a lively city,
And so when you moved from Colombia to Miami, are you already, spending time in the kitchen or developing your relationship with food, or not quite yet?
I didn't cook that much. My mom was the chef of the house, which, I mean, she's great. So I don't think I could ever live to her expectations of a Colombian cuisine. So I kind of leave it at that. But no, I started cooking when I was 16. That was my first introduction to the restaurant life.
And what exactly was that experience?
It was good. It was really, really nice. I was still going to school. I was still in high school. And one of my best friends, his dad was the chef at a restaurant. So all the friends worked there. So it was great.
Were you working in the kitchen or just cleaning dishes?
Actually, my first job was a dishwasher, and that didn't last very long. But then I moved to the front of the house. I bussed tables, bar back, and served, and while my friends were in the kitchen. So I spent a lot of time in the kitchen, watching them cook and learning from the chef. At some point, the chef got into an argument with the manager owner and took off.
Oh, really?
And so I had tables, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? I have people to feed here, man. So I went in the back and cooked the steaks, and I did the best I could for the people I had there. And it's like, all right, that's it. I don't.
Were you a natural, or was it not as smooth of a transition?
You know, I seen it. I seen them cook so much that I just felt like I had emotions there, or I don't know. It just came naturally in a sense. And so the owner was like, "Do you want to learn how to cook?" And I was like, "I don't know how to cook an egg. I mean, I cook this, but I don't really cook." And so he was like, "Well, we teach you, and then you can decide." I was like, "Okay, if I do a good job, then I'll stay."
Got thrown into the fire, so to speak.
Right away, yeah.
So at that young age, when you're working in the hustle and bustle of a restaurant, and then it elevates even more so, and you're now in the back of house, did you feel kind of at home in a restaurant? Because it takes a specific type of person, I think.
Yes, I feel like it does take the type of person, and I feel like I was at home. Yeah, I wanted to be there.
What did you like about it?
Well, when I was younger and cooking, I liked the stressful part of it, the adrenaline, the I gotta get this done, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Right? Yeah, it was like I was like an adrenaline junkie at that time, so like that was perfect fit for me as well, because I was like, just go, you know what I mean? And I enjoyed that.
And so did you say what style of restaurant it was?
It was a steakhouse.
Okay. Which is not like most people's introduction to food and beverage either, right?
Actually not, no. But it was a great time for me and a great learning experience. You know, at some point it did get old. You know, I got to a point where like I wasn't getting challenged anymore, so it was time for me to move to something else and learn from other chefs.
So what is that like? Because it doesn't sound like you had plans when you were young to be a chef. And then when you finally fall in love with it, did you have kind of like an aha moment where you were like laser focused on that being your future?
Yeah, so I was thinking I was gonna be a pilot at the time at some point. So I did like a few hours and all that, and then the kitchen just kept bringing me back, you know, and I just kept growing in it, and I enjoyed it, you know, like it was my place.
So was there did you want to cook Colombian food or Hispanic food?
I didn't really I wanted to learn everything. My idea was more to learn from all the cultures at that time. When I started cooking, I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could from everything that was available, every culture and so that's what I did. So I didn't really focus on just one cuisine. I just wanted to gather as much as I could from everybody.
And so were you in Miami during all of this?
I was in Miami, yeah. I was there for like the first 5 years of my culinary career.
Okay. And so where did you go from there after you kind of realized this is the future that you wanted? Where did things take you?
I landed in New Mexico.
Okay.
I started going to school there, and obviously started cooking, kept cooking there, got myself with pretty good chefs, and then just kept on going.
And so, Miami obviously has, a lot of Cuban influence. New Mexico has kind of, Mexican influence. How are you searching out these different cultures and ways of cooking to learn those things?
I feel like we grab from all our experiences, even our interactions, we grab something from someone. So even that we cook in every place that I've been, I learn something from them, even culturally, even Cuban food or American or Mexican. So I just try to grab as much as I can, like I said.
Yeah. And so, what are some of the other restaurants you end up working in after the steakhouse?
I work for a chef from Syria in a Greek restaurant.
Oh, really?
I worked there I worked with him for over 2 years.
Was that in Miami?
That was in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, and learned a lot from them. Greek and all the Mediterranean style. That was really big back then. That was early 2000s, so it was that was the food at the time. And then when I moved to New Mexico, I got with myself with different chefs from New Mexico. Mark Miller was there at the time when I was at Red Sage. And then I got myself with a really good friend of mine now. That was the chef at a place called Max's, and that was my first really fine dining experience.
Okay.
Really high-end tasting courses and all that. And I submitted myself to that, and it was a great learning experience. And I learned a bunch of technique and how to appreciate product and a lot more.
So when you're going from, a steakhouse to a Mediterranean, you said it was Greek, right? To fine dining, what are some of the different techniques, or in your mind, how are these foods different from each other?
The ingredients are still the same, It's just the techniques that change, and the thought that the chef puts into the ingredient, you know, that makes it into a different culture or a different cuisine. But at the end of the day, you're still eating the tomatoes and the onions, just prepared differently, you know.
So after New Mexico, did you come straight to Arizona from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Came to Arizona. Yeah.
And so what brought you to Arizona?
Family. My wife's family lives here, so it makes it easier for us.
And so when you came here, I imagine you jumped just into a new restaurant. Is that the case?
Yep, into a new restaurant was Old Town Cell.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Cell. He was recently opening there, so I worked there for about 6 months, and then we moved to Flagstaff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How'd you like it up there?
It was great. It was beautiful. It's amazing. The hard part might be the living situation. There's not much housing, so that made it rough. But in the sense that Flagstaff is beautiful, you know, and there's so much stuff to do at the outdoors, which I love. And so we stayed there for about a year.
Is that the first time you had lived and had to deal with snow?
No, it's in New Mexico, in Santa Fe. It's also a high desert, so we have snow there.
It's funny that you went from Miami to like places that still have that hot climate, but then in the winter it just dumps a bunch of snow down.
Never got used to it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, I was born in Salt Lake City, but moved out when I was very young, and so when I see snow, I don't panic. But like if I'm in a car driving, I think I am way more afraid of hitting like black ice or something like that than people who actually live there have to deal with. But so when you were in Flagstaff, you were in kitchens as well, right? Where were you working?
I worked at Copa Cafe with Brian Conifel, Brian. And then moved to, living in Flagstaff, I started working in Sedona at Mariposa.
Okay, nice.
That was a good experience as well.
And so that was probably kind of a little bit of a full circle moment, bringing it back to a steakhouse, right?
Yeah, it was a steakhouse with a Latin influence, great product, quality product, beautiful place. It's beautiful. So it was good. Even the commute there, it was 40 minutes through the canyon. I loved it.
Yeah, that's one of the most beautiful drives ever going down from Flagstaff. Yes. So when you're at Mariposa, was that very different than your original experience in a steakhouse?
Volume-wise was different. The volume there is massive. You know, they do 800 covers a day, so it was cranking. But aside from that, it's pretty much the same. It's just a bigger restaurant.
So after that, was that the final restaurant you worked at up north before you came back down to the valley?
Yes, that was the last one, and then we came back down because you know, it was hard to find a good spot to live, so we came back. And then started working at the Boulders Resort. I worked there for about 2 years. Okay.
And so throughout the course of all these different places that you were at, was there a certain style of food that was kind of pulling you in that direction?
I really wanted to use the ingredients that were sourced locally, so that was like my main focus. You know, I wanted to bring what the land of the region brings. That's what I wanted to do.
And why do you think that is that you're drawn to that?
I feel like this why not? You know what I mean? Like you're in this place and you should showcase what it brings to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I personally like eating like that, and obviously, you know, it's very difficult to build a menu where everything is sourced locally.
It is. I mean, and obviously nowadays you can bring product from all over the world, which is pretty cool as well. So also trying to infuse that, you know, like you're not just bound to what the region brings, but you can also bring product from all over the world because you can nowadays and use that with the ingredients. So that's also a cool part, But yeah, trying to showcase what we bring. You know, every region has something special to offer.
Sure. Were you surprised when you came to Arizona how many ingredients are produced here? Whether it be, you know, cattle all the way to, you know, vegetables and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously people see the West as the, you know, cattle land and the steaks and all that. But also, even being a desert, there's so much to offer. You know, there's a vast amount of product that you can use.
Is there anything that you recall finding an ingredient that you were able to cook with that was produced locally that was surprising to you?
You know, back when I was in Flagstaff, we started using spruce tips.
Oh yeah, spruce tips.
And that was kind of mind blowing how good it really was, and how it's like out there and it's just not a product that's really used, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, that's...
The first time I saw clips of people going out and foraging mushrooms in the forests up north and seeing them, pick up $3,000 of mushrooms and there's just mushrooms everywhere, that kind of blew my mind.
One of my... Before I moved, like, completely, I was living in New Mexico and still doing trips. And it was a season where we filled up a bucket full of lobster mushrooms. And we're like... I mean, we weren't like being disrespectful anyone, just bringing as much as we could. It was just so much of it. And we're like, this is insane. Like this is crazy. There's so much.
Well, and it's incredible too, because we're here, kind of, I don't know what it would be, maybe 40, 50 minutes north of Casa Grande. They have tons of farms down there, and then you go out to like the Santan Valley, tons of farms out there. You go, what would it be? West of here, kind of closer to California, tons of farms out there. We're almost surrounded by farms. And a lot of them grow things that aren't necessarily for humans. Like a lot of them grow cattle feed and things like that. But it never ceases to amaze me when, even just driving down the 101 and you see when they've got big fields of stuff going out there. It's pretty incredible. Yeah,
I mean, we were able to do... The environment lets you grow pretty much anything you want. I mean, the only thing is the amount of water that we use, but even, we can grow anything the weather allows.
Yeah, well, and especially after a very, very wet, rainy, snowy season like this, hopefully water becomes less of an issue for the next few years than it has been.
Yeah, hopefully.
So when did you end up here at Ghost Ranch?
Right after the pandemic.
Okay.
That was also a very interesting thing to do because it was that moment where everybody was thinking what's gonna happen next, where are we going? So that was stressful, but also a challenge, which is also good.
And there's been some high-profile chefs that have come through this restaurant and spent time here. Were you aware of the restaurant before you came here?
I used to live like a mile away, even less. So I was here before when they were recently open.
Like as a diner, you were here before?
As a diner, yeah.
Okay, and I imagine you were a fan of it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I loved the tortillas. That was my highlight for me. I was like, yes, they're doing it right,
So when you look back at that memory, was it like the fact that they were producing things in what I imagine you would call an authentic way that kind of captivated you?
Yeah, exactly. They were using product that was from the region. So I was like, yes. And there's a lot of, I feel like Arizona is growing a lot in that aspect. There's a lot of great chefs that are coming up with great product and how to utilize the product that comes from here.
So you end up here, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2.5 years ago.
And obviously that was an interesting time for everyone, but was there anything unique outside of that, or even including the whole COVID experience, that when you came here kind of set it apart from different experiences that you had joining restaurants?
Obviously COVID, we didn't know if nobody knew, we were going to make it or not, you know what I mean? So that was very interesting and challenging. But aside from that, the challenges of the daily restaurant life,
What does that include for someone who's never worked in a restaurant?
That includes, dealing with staff mostly. It was, and that back then people didn't want to work there for different reasons. But then staffing was really hard, and that's a daily issue. You definitely have to responsible staff. So if it doesn't show up, or all these challenges, getting product was really hard back then as well. Prices were skyrocketing, so all that stuff, it's fun.
Yeah. Does it feel like does it feel like it's kind of like petered out a little bit and things are a little easier to manage now?
They are. Getting product is more accessible. People are out there looking for jobs and working, so then those challenges have definitely been mitigated.
So when you come in here, what were your kind of things to do? Were you overhauling the menu, or were you making adjustments, or just kind of making your way in?
I was, obviously making my way in, changing the recipes to what I felt was the standard that I wanted, or the flavors that I desire from sauces and stuff like that. So,
and generally, how would you describe your cooking?
My cooking, I think I was very eclectic. I might want to say, I don't want to be bound to one style. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I like to cook, and I respect every culture, and I like to cook from everywhere.
Is there a specific culture you find yourself pulling from most?
You obviously, I mean, the French have influenced the culinary world tremendously. So being that techniques and all that, so there's a lot of French technique and background from that, but also Mexican and Italian. I love making pasta and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah. So did you spend time in an Italian restaurant at some point?
I have not. I haven't working on Italian like as cuisine, but I've done plenty. I love making pasta, so I learned how to. I taught myself how to make pasta, and got great recipes and pasta dishes.
So,
and all that.
And you never went to like culinary school or anything?
I went to culinary school for a few classes.
Okay.
I was so deep in the cooking world already that it wasn't. When I went in, I was going in more for the paper, and I just decided that it wasn't. That I was just so far into it, and I also feel like it's a trade that you have to learn. You have to go into a restaurant and work with someone that you want to work with, a chef, and learn, and then decide if you do want to go to culinary school. Yeah, because it's not for everybody.
So you seem like you have a very deep-rooted passion for food, but it seems like you kind of learn in a different way. How is it that you're learning to make pastas or digging into these other cultures besides working in a kitchen? Like I imagine you've picked up a pasta cookbook or watched a video.
Definitely get books. If you find a chef that you like, if he has a book, find it. If he has a podcast or videos or teaching classes, do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, find someone that interests you, or find chefs that you like, and see what they do. And if you can learn from them, then that's the way to go.
Okay, so circling back here, how close is this menu to the menu when you originally came in?
So some of the it's a very standard menu. I feel like we changed a few of the dishes. We usually waited, we didn't change it all. So we changed a few dishes at a time, but some of the classic are still there. We change the dishes once in a while. We still do it's the same model, if you want to say, of the menu. But we do change it a little bit.
So you mentioned that it's a somewhat standard menu, and I do see some of those standard things on here. But like the Aztec cake, I've never heard of that before. What is that exactly?
It's a chicken tinga and a layer enchilada. It's like a layer enchiladas, you might want to say. So that's pretty much a take on that, or lasagna if you want to call it.
Okay, so that's interesting. Is that like a common dish that's made?
In New Mexico, there's a layer enchilada dish.
Okay. Because I've never had anything like that, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. What are some of the more eccentric dishes, or some of the things that you've maybe had a little bit more of a touch on this menu?
I really like the trout dish. I feel like it's very special. The trout with racoche and the lemon sauce is something really special.
And you get the trout from Chile, I see here.
We do to get
nice.
Try to source locally as much as we can.
So what are some of the other like local ingredients that you've incorporated in the menu here?
We have Sonoran wheat. We have tepar beans from Ramona Farms. All the vegetables we try to come here from Arizona, Yuma, or wherever is accessible. Chorizos from Chiners. Still got to think, but there's a bunch. The Tuwas chicken, so there's a lot. Profi Farms have the steaks, and
that's quite a list. Some of the heavy hitters here. So like when you think of like a tepary bean, describe to me how you guys have used that on your menu, and kind of just how you like using that ingredient in general.
Well, I mean, it's a really firm bean, more not so much like if you say like a pinto, where it kind of like, if you cook it too much, it crumbles or stuff like that. The tepari beans holds this texture, and it has like a little bit more crunchy to it. We do it with pork because beans and pork. I can't go wrong with that. But yeah, and tomatillo sauce. So it has a great nutty flavor, you might want to say.
And so when you're looking for local ingredients and local purveyors to work with, what is kind of like the method for, like, how do you find them? How do you determine if they're going to work with them, and why do you pick them?
Well, I mean, usually there's some that have come, some other ones, I've worked with them in the past, so I know the product's good, the quality is up to the standard, so that makes a big deal, and some of the providers here have great product.
And what is one of your favorite items on this menu?
I can't get tired of eating the sampler platter.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years and I still eat it maybe once a week. Steak, it's really good. The skirt steak with the mesquite smokiness to it, and the marinade works really well.
Nice. Well, let's get a quick message in real quick, and then we'll jump back in because I want to dig into this menu a little bit more.
We want to announce that A Taste of AZ magazine will be switching to a paid subscription starting on January 1st, 2024. Until then, you can visit us at atasteofaz.com/subscribe and name your price for the entire 2024 magazine year. You'll get 4 issues for whatever price you decide, and they will each arrive at the beginning of the quarter.
So we've talked about the food, and I'm sure we'll dig into that a little bit more. But talk to me about the drink menu. I see a lot of tequila on here, which is probably my favorite spirit. Tell me a little bit about it.
Definitely, lots of tequila, Southwest, lots of mezcal. We introduce mezcals. There's a lot of local beers as well. Obviously, classic beers for Mexican beers. We have Mexican wine as well. Frozen drinks, which are pretty cool and fun. We recently added one, which is the sandía, with spicy sangria, which is spiced tequila with arbol chili.
Spicy sangria?
It's sandía, watermelon.
Okay.
And that was a really tasty one. They did a great job with the drinks.
Uh-huh. And so, what how often do the cocktails rotate, and how do you guys come up with?
We rotate with them seasonally. We just come up with ideas, taste them. Personal favorites, the mezcal Mai Tai. That's
really?
my creation there.
You said that's your creation?
Yeah.
Nice. So I figure you're a big tequila mezcal guy, you said?
I love mezcal. I'm really into mezcal right now. Bacanoras, tequilas, sotos, all that. I'd like to. Yeah, it's an industry that's grown a lot and it's been utilized.
Is there a specific mezcal or agave spirit in general that you really enjoy?
Mezcal-wise, Carreños have a great line.
Yeah.
Also, there's a line that's really accessible for people that's called El Silencio. It has a great story behind it as well. I like that. That's one of my favorite
Could
ones.
you try and recap the story for us a little bit, if you wouldn't mind?
So they work in Oaxaca, and they bring the farmers and they try to help them out to grow mezcals, and they try to bring their product teach the farmers pretty much how to grow mezcal and how to profit from it. And it's also very organic and done in an environmental way, I want to say. So it's a good story.
Yeah, well, and you have quite a few different cocktails on here as well. But how many different agave spirits do you guys have available at any given time, roughly?
I want to say maybe 20 different ones from from high end to shelf.
And that's all you really need too. It's cool to go to a spot that has a lot, and of course there's a place for that. But I think 20, if you can't find something that you like in 20 different agave spirits, then maybe you just don't like them, right?
Yeah, I mean, and there's tequila flights there, so if you want to take a sip and maybe learn about some of them, there's the availability to do that as well.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your guys' service. How many days are you guys open? Do you do lunch and things like that?
We are open 7 days a week. We do lunches from 11 to 3, and then brunches on Saturday from 11 to 3 as well. Dinners from 3 to 9, and on the weekends from 3 to 10.
Okay, and so I think we're looking at the dinner menu, correct? Is that what this is?
This is lunch specialties and also dinner.
Okay, so I have the dinner one. So, what are some of the popular items on your lunch menu specifically?
Everything sells pretty even. Rice bowls. We get a lot of people that come out for lunch from business, so it's kind of fast-paced lunch.
Okay.
But rice bowls are pretty popular. Obviously, tacos and brisket torta. So
nice.
Pretty swell, yeah.
And I see a Sonoran hot dog on here. That's kind of calling my name.
Oh yeah, I gotta have it. Yeah.
Is there anything unique that you guys do for the hot dog?
It's our take on a Sonoran hot dog, so it is pretty unique itself. The ingredients of a Sonoran classic hot dog are there, but the presentation is different.
Okay, describe it to me if you wouldn't mind.
It's a bigger sausage. It's a Polish. We usually they're wrapped in bacon. We just crispy the bacon, so throw it on top just for a garnish kind of look. Oaxaca cheese, fried beans, and usually has jalapenos or roasted jalapenos on it. We did a serrano aioli in it. And
that sounds fantastic.
It is. It's really good dish.
So we've kind of covered everything as a whole here. Is there anything that you feel like we've missed, or anything that you want people to know about what it's like dining here?
We are really friendly. We are family oriented, and come check it out. Give us a shot. You know, you will have a great experience.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm surprised because I've driven by this spot several times, but I've never actually dined here before. So after this, I'm excited to dig into some of your food.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Well, Chef, thank you so much for joining us. And, yeah, this is one of the most, it's got a special place in the Arizona food scene, I would say. There's been a lot of people come through here, and I'm excited to taste your version of what's on the menu here. So
awesome.
Thanks again for joining us today. Appreciate it. Cheers.